Welcome, good morning. This will be our 1 hour all levels flow. And whether you're joining live or on YouTube, glad to be here. If you have two blocks, we'll start today on the back in Supta Baddha Konasana. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. But otherwise, bring the soles of your feet together. Slide your blocks at any height, just under the outer edge of your hips. So you're not holding the legs up with the blocks, but the hips are fully releasing to the sides. And if you're ready for more intensity, slide your heels closer to the body. Or for less intensity, slide the heels further away. And then adjust your shoulder blades on the mat. Bring one hand to heart, one hand to belly. And when you feel ready, close the eyes or look at the tip of the nose. Notice the sensation of the whole body grounding down. And then draw your mind's focus to your breath. Spending a few moments here checking in with yourself on the back body. It can feel a little different to awaken the lungs on the back, with each inhale drawing air more actively toward the belly, starting to create a sense of expansiveness and openness in the torso. And this week and next, we're focusing on the theme of standing balances and standing balances with the option of arm binds and mudras. So I'll read just a brief passage here from a book on yoga sequencing about the benefits and practice of standing balance poses. Mark Stevens writes this: standing asanas are the powerfully grounding physical foundation for the overall asana practice. Standing on the feet, we begin to experience how a stable foundation creates support up through the legs, the pelvis, the spine, arms, and head. More importantly, we discover this stable foundation is resilient, beginning with the activation of Pada Bandha, or equal weight for both feet. By blending sthira and sukha in standing balance, we become aware of samasthiti, an attitude and awareness of equanimity as we feel the connection of body, breath, mind, and spirit. So that's where we're going today in our practice. If you haven't already, lightly constrict the back of your throat. Start to bring in that audible oceanic quality to your breath. Ujjayi pranayama. When you settle on your pace of breath, take one more full breath cycle here through the nose. And then open the eyes, slide the blocks to the side. Use your hands to lift the legs and plant the feet hips distance apart. Moving toward reclined pigeon pose here, press the left foot down, cross right ankle over left leg. Before going deeper, flex your right toes. Good, and then either stay here or if you're ready, lift the left foot, catch both hands behind the left thigh, but make sure you release shoulder blades back to the mat. Not your deepest pigeon expression yet, but starting to work that right hip out and away from the body. And even in this shape, noticing the sensation of balancing on the back. One more breath cycle here. And with an exhale, release. Plant the feet, hips distance apart. And then this time, cross left ankle over right leg. Flex your left toes strongly here, protecting the knee. And if you're just joining, meeting us on the back when you're ready. Stay here or lift the right foot. Catch behind the right leg with the hands. Reclined pigeon. Both shoulder blades on the mat. And if you just join, two blocks will be helpful if you have them later in our practice. One more breath cycle here. With your next exhale, release. Plant the feet, hips distance apart. And then bring your feet wide, toes pointing out, heels in. Find prana mudra, cactus arms, bending the elbows, backs of the arms and hands to the mat. With your breath, start to let the knees fall to one side and then to the other. Taking the whole inhale to oscillate to left and right. Backs of hands, wrists, and shoulders grounding down. Making our first vinyasa here, letting breath inform movement. Good, a couple more rounds like this, breathing through the nose. Make your way through center, plant the feet, and then take an inhale, draw the knees into the chest. Next, inhale, lift the forehead toward the knees toward forehead, head and neck are off the mat. Apanasana. Good, uncross your ankles if they crossed, point the toes, and breathe. On the exhales, contracting the belly in as you awaken the core. And one more inhale. Exhale, release. Bring the hands behind the legs and rock and roll 5 or 6 times along the spine. Eventually, we'll cross the ankles and come all the way to hands and knees, meeting in tabletop. Good, making your way to tabletop with as much grace as you can. If you like some support under the knees, always the option to slide a blanket underneath. And either way, gaze between the thumbs, plant the palms shoulder distance apart, and we'll tuck all 10 toes today in our tabletop. Next, inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, Marjaryasana. Exhale, tuck and round, chin to chest, Vinyasa. Moving through cow-cats on your breath, avoiding any sense of momentum here, using the physical body and the breath to move fully between shapes. Good. Especially if you're newer to yoga, this is a great alternative anytime we find a vinyasa flow, or anytime you feel fatigued in down dog, come back to hands and knees. Next, exhale, find stillness. Meet me in tabletop. And we'll continue to open the hips. Inhale, send the right leg back, bend the right knee. Take big circles with that right knee in the air. Keep pressing through the left palm as well here. And then switch the direction, knee and hip circles opposite way with your breath. Next, inhale, send the right leg straight back. Option to reach left arm forward. We'll hold a few breaths here, fully filling the belly with air on the inhale, actively pressing that right foot back. And one more inhale. Exhale, release, back to tabletop, reset, and we'll move right to the left side. Inhale, send the left leg back, bend the knee, take those big circles in one direction, equal weight through both palms here. Even on hands and knees, tapping into balance. Switch the direction, take those circles opposite way as you breathe. Next, inhale, left leg straight back, hold here. Option to reach the right arm forward. Keep your gaze nice and low, back of the neck is long. And one more inhale. Exhale, release. Send your knees wide, big toes touch. Press your hips back, wide-legged balasana. We'll really lengthen the spine here in our child's pose. First, walk the hands forward. Then press the hips back toward the heels. Ideally, armpits and forearms off the mat here. And then let the neck fully relax. You can always slide one of your blocks under the forehead if it doesn't reach the mat. Let the face relax, but keep the torso and hips active. Remember, you can find this or any other resting shape throughout our practice as you need. Next, inhale, press up to hands and knees, and make your way to down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Find your long down dog shape. Palms just an inch or two from the top of the mat. Palms shoulder distance apart. Energetically release your heels toward the mat. They don't need to touch. And then start to pedal through the heels, bending one knee deeply and then the other. Back of the neck hangs heavy. Find your breath. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And from here, find stillness in your down dog. Next inhale, roll forward to plank. We'll set up our strong plank alignment. Knees can always be lifted or lowered. If the lower back is collapsing, it's a good sign to lower the knees, building strength either way. Press through both palms. Phalakasana. Good, a couple more breaths. If knees are lifted, press the heels back in space. Rotate your femur bones toward one another. And one more inhale. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin. Ashtanga Namaskar. Holding right here, tuck your toes to the mat. Gaze comes forward any amount. We're working to have chest and chin fully on the mat. That might not happen today. And next inhale, slide to the belly. Keep your toes tucked, planted to the mat. Hover palms and knees. Keep drawing femur bones toward one another. Press the heels back and breathe. One more inhale. Exhale through knees or plank. Back to down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Deep breath cycles here through the nose. Adding on, inhale, right leg up and back. Bend the right knee, stack the hip. Shift your gaze under the left armpit. Scorpion dog. And inhale, right leg straight back. Step between the hands. Lower your back knee. Setting up for low lunge. Option for blocks under the palms. We'll be keeping the fingers or palms planted. Front knee comes right on top of the ankle. Good. Back toes tucked. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Flex the toes. Fold. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, fold, half splits. Inhale, low lunge. And exhale, fold, hold right here in your half split shape. Stay here or reach the arms back, palms toward the body. Maybe finding a mudra, interlacing hands behind the back if you have the space. Mudras are a nice way to close our energy loops throughout our practice. Feeling air move all the way from that right front toe to the back of the neck, down the arms, into that back heel. Wherever you're at, one more inhale. Exhale, plant the front foot, plant the hands, low lunge, and step it back. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Next, inhale back to plank. Option to lower knees. Exhale, lower knees, chest, chin. Ashtanga Namaskar. Inhale, slide forward. Bhujangasana. Exhale back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And breathe. We'll take that on the second side. Inhale, left leg up and back. Bend the knee. Stack left hip over right. Gaze turns under the right armpit. Good. Scorpion dog. Inhale, left leg back. Step it through. Lower your back knee. Set up for your low lunge, with or without blocks under the hands. Back toes tucked. Before we move, lengthen the spine, turn your gaze forward. On the breath, deep inhale. Exhale, straighten the front leg, flex the toes, fold. Inhale, low lunge, gaze lifts. Exhale, half splits. Once more, inhale, low lunge. Exhale, fold, hold in here. Ardha Hanumanasana. Always the option to challenge balance by reaching the arms back. Press that left heel to the mat. Maybe interlacing fingers the opposite way, opposite thumb on top, as you work the arms up and overhead. Everything drawing in toward the midline here. Working to draw air through the whole body, all the way to hands and feet with the breath. One more inhale. Exhale, release. Find your low lunge and step it back. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. About 5 breaths here, or choose a resting shape. If you're in down dog, arms are straight and strong, inner elbows drawing in, pressing through the palms. And then let the face and neck soften. Good, a couple more breaths where you are. If you found child's pose, coming back to down dog, hips up and back. And inhale, gaze forward, come high on the tiptoes, press firmly down through the palms, slowly tiptoe toward the hands. Even feeling samasti here, equal weight through left and right sides of the body, starting with the hands. Nice effort, eventually tiptoeing all the way to the top of the mat. Step forward as much as you need to meet me in a forward fold. Option for that mudra here with the hands, if you have the space, interlacing hands behind the back. Maybe finding Kali Mudra, straightening the thumb and first finger, keeping bottom 3 fingers interlaced, and then working arms any amount overhead as the weight shifts forward to the toes. And if these arm binds are intense, you can start by bringing hands to the hips, drawing elbows back as you work to get more openness through the chest and shoulders. Keep whatever arm shape you have. Take a deep bend in both knees, press down firmly through the feet. Next inhale, slowly roll up. Head and shoulders come last. And we'll meet in Tadasana, top of the mat, mountain pose. We'll engage our bandhas here. We don't often talk about this bandha, but we have a bandha at the bottom of the feet, or a deep internal energy lock. The one at the feet is called Pada Bandha. So take a moment to lift your toes high off the mat, and then as slowly as you can, spread your feet wide, create the widest foundation through both feet. And then do that again. Lift all 10 toes as slowly as you can, spread the toes, plant the balls and the heels of the feet down. When you have your widest foundation, close the eyes or take a soft gaze. With an inhale, palms to heart center, Anjali Mudra, pressing thumbs to heart, heart to thumbs. As the feet root down, calves draw together, femur bones rotate inward, tailbone tucks under, shoulders squeeze together, and then back and down. Deep breath cycle here through the nose. And then open the eyes, adding on. Staying at the top of the mat, bring both hands to the hips. Lift up on your right big toe. Draw the left hip in and start to take some lifting motions with the right toe up and down. As you lift, see how high you can bring that right knee in space. Notice that active engagement through the outer left hip. Stay here or reach the arms up and overhead as you continue lifting and lowering the knee. Notice how this challenges balance. Really nice. And with an exhale, release the arms, shake out the hips. And come back to finding Pada Bandha, that deep internal energy lock through the feet. Once more, palms to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Deep breath cycle here. And then hands to hips to start. Lift up on the left big toe. Press the right foot down, hug the right hip in. And then start to lift and lower that left toe. Each successive inhale, left knee lifts just a bit higher. Right toes are active. Stay here or reach the arms up and overhead as you lift and lower. This is a really great exercise to engage in any kind of advanced standing balance pose in your home practice. One more inhale. And release, shake it out, nicely done. And we'll take a modern sun salute, Surya Namaskar, from the top of the mat. Inhale, arms out and up, palms touch. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale to plank, lower on the same exhale, move through your flow. Meet me back in downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a couple breaths, sinking up in our down dog. Relax the jaw, running tongue between lips and teeth. Sthira and Sukha, effort and ease. Next, inhale, right leg up and back. Bend the knee, stack the hips. Inhale, right leg straight back. Step between the hands for warrior two. Rotate, plant your back foot. Inhale, rise up, gaze to the right. Exhale, deeply bend the right knee over ankle. Gaze comes to your right middle finger. Or challenge balance further by closing down the eyes. Our warrior poses are standing balance, whether legs are wide apart or together. Closing the eyes in any balancing pose will really focus to engage the core and both feet. Beautiful. Notice if the back arm is lower than the front arm. Bring your arms in one long line. And deep inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the hands, step it back, downward facing dog. Take a couple pedals through the heels. Find your breath. And then find stillness. Inhale, left leg up and back. Bend the knee, stack the hips. Inhale, left leg back. Step it through. Virabhadrasana 2. Plant your back foot. Inhale, rise up. Arms sweep wide. Good. Exhale, gaze to the left. Equal weight through both feet. In warrior two, torso is upright, shoulders over hips. Pelvis is pressing forward, tailbone tucking under. Challenge balance by closing down the eyes. You can even just close for a moment or two, or maybe hold here without sight. Deep belly breaths here, maintaining that inner sense of calm and focus. And one more inhale. Exhale, cartwheel the hands, step it back, downward facing dog, and breathe. Stay here or flow with me on the breath. If you're flowing, inhale, roll forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga or to the belly. Cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, hips back, downward facing dog. Meet me in down dog. In a moment, we'll be floating forward to Malasana, our yogi squat. So in a moment, we'll float the feet outside the hands. I invite you to think of this as floating rather than jumping. Engage your core on the exhale. Deep inhale, come on the toes. Exhale, float, feet outside the hands. You can take extra steps forward as much as you need, and then sit the hips back. Find your yogi squat. Option for a block under the sacrum in this shape, especially if the feet aren't fully planted. If the feet are fully planted, maybe palms come to heart center. And then find that duality of spine lengthening forward, shoulder blades squeezed together, hips grounding down. Gaze comes forward as much as you can. Good. If your elbows are inside your legs, you can use them to gently press your thighs back, just making sure not to press on the inner knee. And then check in with your feet. Notice if you have equal weight through both feet. If not, shift your hips. Spread your toes wide. Maybe close the eyes down if they're not already. A couple more breaths here. And then open the eyes. Next, inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, release. Step to the top of the mat if you're not already. And bring both hands to the hips. Plant down through the right foot. So work on stepping back as slowly as we can. Take an inhale, step the left foot back for warrior two. Open the hips. Good, reach the arms wide, settle in. Gaze to the right. Maybe you're ready to go a bit deeper, sliding the right foot forward. Lightly squeezing shoulder blades together on the back. Deep inhale here. Exhale, thread right arm under left. Backs of forearms come to touch, or maybe palms come to touch. Garudasana arms. Turn back to the right, face your top of your mat. Inhale, lift the chest, pull the elbows up and away. Exhale, crunch, elbows toward the right knee. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, crunch. This time, inhale, rise up. Send the arms wide. Bring the hands back to the hips. Take an inhale here. On the exhale, step to the top of the mat. It's okay if you need to take a couple extra steps. Nicely done. Shake it out. Shake out the hips. And we'll flow on the breath. Inhale, arms up. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, half. Exhale to plank. Lower through your flow. Meet back and down dog. Remembering to find rest anytime you need. Good, from down dog, in a moment, we'll work on that float forward, back to our yogi squat. To start, palms shoulder distance apart, press the palms down. Take an inhale, lift on the toes, gaze forward. Exhale, contract the belly, float. Work your feet outside your hands. Nicely done. Back to the top of the mat. Again, to make this restorative, you can sit on a block, or if feet are fully planted, maybe palms to heart center. And if you didn't try the first time, I invite you to close down the eyes in this shape. When we close our eyes, we're able to tap into other sensations in the physical body and in the energetic body. Maybe feeling the subtle movements of all 10 toes, subtle movements of arches of the feet and heels to hold your balance. With each inhale, crown of the head reaches up, and on the exhale, shoulders draw back and down. Feel the chest open. Option to keep the eyes closed as we rise to standing. Either way, inhale, slowly rise up. Exhale, release, shake it up, and back to the top of the mat. Hands to hips. This time planting through the left foot. We'll work on that step back with control. Deep inhale. Exhale, step the right leg back. Open the pelvis, warrior two. When you're ready, arms sweep wide. Exhale, soften the shoulders. Knit the rib cage in. Gaze to the left. Maybe going a bit deeper, our second time here. We're looking for a nice line between front heel and back arch of the foot. That's a good indication that our hips are nice and open. And we'll find our eagle arms. Deep inhale. Exhale, left arm under right. Bring the backs of the arms to touch, or maybe palms come to touch. Shift back to the top of your mat. Deep inhale, elbows up and away. Exhale, crunch, elbows toward the left knee. Inhale, rise up, keep the front knee bent. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, rise up. Good. Exhale, crunch. Last time. Inhale, rise up. Open your arms wide. Bring your hands to your hips. When you're ready, step to the top of the mat with control. Really nicely done. Shake it up. And then bring your feet wide at the top of your mat. Plant fully through both feet. Interlace the hands behind the back. If you have the space, finding Kali Mudra, thumb and first finger pointing up, back 3 fingers interlaced. And either way, start to shift the hips left and right without lifting the feet. Should feel a stretching engagement through the outer hips. You can go as slowly or quickly as you like. Keep moving, relax the shoulders down from the ears. If you have Kali Mudra, working to pull the thumbs between the butt cheeks here. Good, and then slow that down. Come back to face forward. Deep breath cycle, planting through the feet. Release the arm bind if you had one, shake out the wrists. Heel toe your feet closer together, flow on the breath. Inhale to rise. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half. Exhale to plank. Move through your flow. Meet me back in downward facing dog. Always the option to add an extra push-up in your flows or skip them all together. And from down dog, take a bend in the knees. Walk your hands back toward the feet. Forward fold at the back of the mat. Heel toe your feet apart, toes out, heels in. One more round of Malasana. Sit the hips back. Palms to heart center. Find your balance here. This is a great place to stay. To go deeper toward Pashasana, start to heel toe your feet together. Your shoulders will collapse forward a bit, but keep your gaze lifted. We're working to bring the feet parallel in this shape. Find your edge. If the inner edges of the feet lift, you've gone too far. Make sure feet stay planted. Good, and then either stay here or sweep the arms forward. Wrap them back behind the hips. Maybe catching your shirt at the back of your outer hips. Maybe catching pants here. Good, if you did go deeper, let the neck fully relax. Pashasana. Toes are active here, keeping that constant sense of balance. If you did go deeper, sweep the arms back forward. Bring your feet further apart. Plant firmly through the feet. With an inhale, rise to standing, the back of the mat. And then release the arms. We'll take one more standing balance, moving towards standing pigeon with a couple different options. So if you like to use a wall or have one nearby, move so that your left hand can brush the wall. Otherwise, both hands to the hips. Feet hips distance apart. Spread your left toes. Lift the right heel up. Start to draw the weight to that left leg. Take an inhale. On the exhale, bend the left knee. Cross right ankle, over left leg, sit the hips back. Similar mechanics to our yogi squat here. Spine lengthens up, shoulders back and down. See if you can keep sitting the hips back, flex the right toes. Stay here or palms at heart center, Anjali Mudra, make that mudra active. Stay here or begin to fold forward, bringing your hands shoulder distance apart. Gaze at the mat. Keep sitting the hips back. A couple breaths wherever you're at. Utthita Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Upright king pigeon. Next inhale, rise up, release. Exhale, shake that out. Let go of that side. So if you're interested in arm balances, that's where we're going with that shape. Eventually hands to the mat. We'll get set up for the second side. If you're using a wall, move so that right hand can brush the wall. Otherwise, hands to hips. This time, plant through the right foot. Lift up on your left heel. Good. Deep inhale. Exhale, bend the right knee. Cross left ankle over right. Really flex your left toes here, protecting your knee. Each exhale, hips sit just a bit further back. Maybe you bring palms to heart center. It's okay to come back in and out here. Keep lengthening the spine forward and up as that left hip crease works out and away from the belly. Stay here or move toward the fold. Fingers lowering toward the mat. Maybe that left foot wraps around the outer edge of your right tricep. Utthita Ekapada Raja Kapotasana. Good. Wherever you're at, inhale, rise up, unwind, and release. Shake it out, let that go. Really beautiful effort with a challenging asana. Back of the mat. We'll take one more half sun salute, really slowing it down with the breath. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half. Exhale, walk the hands forward to our last down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Yogi's choice, hold here or take a flow on your breath. Option to add an extra push-up halfway down in Chaturanga. It's that time in the practice where you find your edge, pushing to your limit today, where there's challenge but no pain. If you did choose to flow, eventually back to down dog. From down dog, one more inhale. Exhale, lower to hands and knees. Meet me in tabletop pose. And then we'll move toward thread the needle here. In a moment, when we thread one arm under the other, see if you can keep your hips, knees, and legs exactly where they are without rotating your hips. Gaze at the mat, press the left palm down. Inhale, sweep the right arm high, open the chest. Exhale, thread right arm under left. Keep the hips squared. Come to rest on the outer edge of the head and the outer right shoulder. Next inhale, send the left arm high. Even if you're going deeper for the wrap, take a couple moments with the left arm reaching up. Anytime we move toward a wrap, it's important to create length through the arm first and then find that bind. Stay here or wrap the left arm behind the back, fingers toward the outer right hip. To challenge the core, send the left leg back, maybe toes to the mat, maybe left leg parallel to the mat. Rib cage knitting in here will help with balance. A few breaths, let the face soften. Even though this is an active pose, face is soft, breath is steady. If you lifted the back leg, plant the back toes, bring the left knee back under the hip. Inhale, sweep the left arm high. Press up just with the left palm. Sweep your right arm back up. And release. Tabletop. Take a few rounds of cow-cats on your own breath. You're welcome to linger anywhere that feels good here. Find that rhythmic Ujjayi pranayama. Meet me back in stillness. Check that your hips are still right over your knees. And we'll take that on the second side. This time planting through the right palm. Inhale, sweep the left arm high. Exhale, thread left arm under right. Hips point forward. Come to rest on the outer left shoulder, left side of the head. Inhale, sweep the right arm high. Spending at least a couple breaths here. Fingers spread wide. Fingers reaching toward the sky. Right shoulder drawing back. And then if you went deeper on the first side, option to try that wrap. Right arm behind the back. Fingers toward the outer left hip. Keep the neck and jaw relaxed here. Maybe send the right leg back, toes to the mat. Or maybe hover the right leg actively parallel to the mat. Rib cage is squeezing in, right foot actively presses back. Beautiful balance. If you lifted that back foot, plant the toes, then bring the knee back under the hip. Inhale, right arm high. Press up just with the right palm, sweep the left arm high. And release. Back to tabletop. And make your way to child's pose, either legs wide or legs together. Choose your variation. Whichever variation you choose, let the arms relax here. Gently press the hips back, but start to feel a little bit of release, that sense of rest. It's a good time to slow down your breath, counting in your mind, adding an extra count or 2 or 3 to each inhale and exhale. Next, inhale, press up to hands and knees, slide your legs to one side, and meet me in a seat on the mat. We'll send legs straight forward here. If you like to use a prop, you can slide a blanket under the back inch of your sits bones. This helps to tilt the pelvis forward. And either way, find your nice tall seat. Bend the right knee, bring right sole of the foot to the inner left thigh. So a couple of options here before we fold. We've done quite a lot with pigeon shapes. If you have the space, option to try half lotus here before we fold, not tweaking on the knee, but rotating right sole of the foot to the sky, bringing the right heel to the left hip crease. It's okay if that right leg is a little bit off the mat. Make sure not to press it down. So choose your leg variation and then flex your left toes. Inhale, reach the arms high. Exhale, reach forward and then fold. Hands can release anywhere they do, tenting up on the fingertips, and then walk your fingertips forward. If you have that half lotus leg, Ardha Padmasana, working the outer edge of your right leg toward the mat, actively pressing the top of your right foot down into the leg. Stay here or find a bind, reaching hands behind the heel, maybe catching the left big toe with the left 2 fingers, or maybe you catch one wrist with the opposite hand behind your foot. We'll be here for a few rounds of breath, finding your edge today. With the inhales, focus on pulling crown of the head forward. On the exhales, focus on contracting your bandhas, those energy locks behind the perineum and the navel. Janu Shirshasana with Ardha Padmasana legs. Before we rise up, reach both arms forward, thumbs up, engage your core and back. Next inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, release, unwind, send the right leg forward, and just take some circles with that right ankle in both directions, especially if you took half lotus. And we'll let go of that side, moving to left side, left sole of the foot to the inner right thigh. And you can stay here, or whether you tried on the first side or not, option for half lotus. Left heel toward the right hip crease. Really important to turn the sole of that left foot toward the sky. Whichever legs you choose, flex your right toes. Sit nice and tall. Good, deep inhale, arms reach. Exhale, reach forward first as far as you can, and then release fingertips to the mat. Keep flexing your right toes as you walk the fingertips forward. If you have the half lotus bind, work the outer edge of that left leg toward the mat as you press the top of the left foot into the right leg. Wherever you're at, deep belly breaths. Option to take one of those mudras or binds with the fingers to the feet, or maybe catching one wrist all the way behind the right foot with the opposite hand. Couple more breaths here. Find your longest, most active belly breaths. Before we rise up, reach the arms forward, thumbs up. Deep inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, release. And then we'll send the left leg long, wiggle out the ankle. And from here, plant the feet wide, toes out, heels in. If you have a blanket underneath, that's okay. And then hands behind the back, fingers pointed toward you. Maybe your hands come to make a mudra here. First finger and thumb connecting behind the back, palms planting down. Either way, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Deep inhale, lift the sternum toward the sky. Stay here or lift the hips as well. This can be intense on the wrists, so take this gently. Option to release the neck fully back. Arms are active and straight here. Good, we'll hold for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, release. Come back to your tall seat. Bring soles of the feet together. And we'll just take a little release through the wrists. Bring the backs of the hands to touch, fingers down. Press your wrists back and forth. And then flip, palms to touch, fingers pointing up. Press your wrists back and forth. From here, use your right hand to bend your left wrist down any amount. And switch, left hand to bend the right wrist down. Good, inhale, palms to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Stay here or interlace hands behind the back. This can feel a little intense with the hips opening and the arm bind. If you start to collapse forward, draw the shoulders back, engage the abdominal muscles. Good, we'll stay upright here. See if you can let the outer hips relax. If you feel that slight shaking, use the breath to soften the legs. Good. And one more inhale. Exhale, release. Use the hands, bring the legs together, and just drape the torso forward. Give yourself a little squeeze here. It might feel good to strongly draw the chin to the chest, stretching the back of the neck. Inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the nose. And after your next exhale, make your way all the way to the back. If you had a blanket underneath, slide that aside. You can slide your blocks aside as well. As you come to the back, we'll plant the feet hips distance apart. Send the arms alongside the body. We'll just take one round of bridge on the back. If you have full wheel, you're welcome to take that instead. I'll talk us through bridge pose here. Big toes slightly turned in. Press the palms, wrists, and arms to the mat. Take an inhale, lift the hips up. Keep the knees over ankles. Walk your shoulder blades together under the back. Maybe find that hand bind, interlacing fingers, pulling fists toward heels. We're working with this hand bind to press the outer edges of the pinkies, outer edges of the hand to the mat as you keep lifting the hips and chest. Notice if the inner edges of the feet lifted, plant them down. Samastihi, equal weight through the feet. Wherever you're at, option to lift one leg at a time in bridge or wheel, sole of the foot toward the sky. Make sure to balance both sides if you do lift. And one more inhale. Exhale, release, unwind, come to the back, and let the knees rest against one another. Really nice variations there with the back bends. Come back to your breath. Feel the weight of the back body being supported by the mat beneath you. Start to let go of that mental focus on postures and movement. Next, inhale, draw both knees to the chest and take any intuitive movements that feel good here. Rocking and rolling along the spine, left and right, up and down. Sometimes as we begin to slow down movement, we can notice distractions come up in the mind. If that's the case, just actively count your breath in your mind. Find stillness on the back, keep the knees drawn into the chest, and then send both arms wide in a T, palms down. Moving toward an easy spinal twist. Inhale, draw the knees in. Exhale, knees up and over to the left. at or above hip height, and shift your gaze to the right. Palms, wrists, shoulder blades are on the mat. You can always slide 1 or 2 blocks under or between the knees in this shape, especially if you're holding tension in the feet. Really working to let the hips release and relax as the base of the spine twists. A couple more rounds of breath here, maybe closing down the eyes if they're not already. Jatara Parivartanasana, reclined spinal twist. Next, inhale, roll to the back, unwind, draw both knees in, keep your arms wide. Deep inhale, knees toward the face. Exhale, knees up and over to the right. Make sure your knees are at or above hip height rather than below your hips, really allowing the lower back to twist. Gaze turns away from the knees, and let the feet, toes, ankles relax. Option for any props to be comfortable here as we settle in. Continue to become very present with the movement of the breath through the body. Maybe noticing the qualities of your breath, maybe a particular color, feeling, or sound. Continuing to lengthen the breath, going inward. Next, inhale, roll to the back. And I'll leave space for any final movements that are calling to you here. We're making our way toward Shavasana for our final posture. You're welcome to find any clothing or props. It can be nice to have something to put over the eyes in Shavasana to close out light. Always the option to slide a blanket on top of the hips for a little extra grounding down, especially as we head into the cooler months. It can feel nice to be cozy and warm on the back. And if you're choosing movement, make sure to balance left and right sides. No rush here. In the next 5 or 6 rounds of your breath, move to reclining fully on the back. We did a lot of external hip rotation, like pigeon pose and warrior 2. So you're welcome to keep soles of the feet together in Shavasana if you like, with or without those blocks outside the hips. Or you can take traditional Shavasana with legs extended long. Whatever shape you choose, release the arms alongside the body. Flip your palms up and tuck your shoulder blades together under the back. Take a deep, slow inhale through the nose and open the mouth, sigh it out. With that exhale, close down the mouth. Let go of your pranayama. Release that constriction in the throat. Let the tip of the tongue release from the roof of the mouth. Eyes closed or gaze very soft. I'll chant us into Shavasana with a mantra. As I chant, let go of my voice and cues and allow yourself a few moments in quiet and stillness. Aum Sahana Vavatu Sahana Punaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Virvishavahai. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. Aham Prema Aham Prema Prema Aham Prema Aum. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Once more, filling the whole torso with air and expelling it out and out. Noticing any new sensations in the body and mind from our practice of standing balance and mudras. And as you feel ready, invite movements back to the hands and feet. Roll the neck left and right, up and down. The knees were bent, send your legs long for a moment or two. And move toward a full body stretch like you just woke up in the morning. Throughout the rest of your day, when you've left your mats, I invite you to notice any sensations of balance, especially in standing postures. Notice how your practice carries off the mat. Draw both knees to the chest and roll to the right side body, finding the fetal position and taking a couple of deep breath cycles here. Eyes closed or gaze soft. When you're ready, we'll meet in a seat, sitting tall. Option for a prop under the back of the hips. And as you choose your comfortable seat, choose a mudra to end your practice. That could be palms at heart center, Kali Mudra, palms up. Any mudra that's calling to you, find that shape. Lengthen the spine up, shoulders back and down. Deep breath cycle together here. The light within me honors and respects the light within each of you. Thank you. Mil gracias. We bow and say a word. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining. For those that joined live, I'll have this recording up later today or tomorrow on YouTube if you want to practice the sequence again. And if you'd like to donate by Venmo or PayPal, it's at freelancerphd, and hope to practice with you soon. Once I end the recording, happy to chat if anyone has questions or feedback.